In battle in the state of Illinois, of any Indians. Blackhawk had been chased all over the place, and there was a piece. The brain was the commissioner of the Indians. What do they call that?
He's the Indian agent.
Agent. Yeah, I got Dick here. Dick knows it.
I'm the fact checker.
Yeah, he's the fact checker. Yeah. Good for Dick.
I thought you were going to say he was there.
He was. The base operations was down in Rock Island, and there was a trail that ran up here. And he was coming up because the Indians were up here, and he was going to try to make a peace treaty. But the young bucks set up an ambush. And so it was a running battle and an ambush up in here over the hill here. But there's a tavern here, Kellogg's Grove Tavern. And anyway, this was the last battle, and so they've got the graves of the guys that were killed. And Abraham Lincoln still lived down south, but he was elected captain of his militia, and they came up and buried the dead here. So he was involved in that here. I think he was at Salem at the time. If you read, you can get all the details. But for you know, you don't want to read. That's kind of the history of this. And this was on a wagon trail that ran all the way up to Galena from Dixon. So, because Galena at that time, this was 1832, was it? Yeah. 32.
June of 1832.
Thank you. Anyway.
What time?
Galena was a big lead town. Lead at that time was like gold, you know. And the reason there was lead in Galena is because the glaciers didn't come through and wipe out the hills. So this is called the driftless area, because the glaciers didn't come down through here, probably because of the Mississippi River. It goes 150 miles up to La Crosse on the Mississippi River is a driftless area. It didn't get ice. So that's why these hills are actually here. Otherwise it'd be flat like the rest of Illinois. So anyway, that's what this is all about. Dick, you want to add to it?
Yeah, the original buildings were over there across the road. My first wife's grandfather tore the last of the buildings down, and I didn't meet him, but I talked to his wife, Grandma, and she told me about where the building stood over there. We found remnants of the trail over in that wood.
Yeah.
Oh, what kind of remnants? Ruts?
Ruts. Yeah, we used to squirrel hunt in there, and in the wintertime you can still see.
And you can see the trees would grow up on the sides, but there was no trees on the road, on the path. So over the years, the trees had kind of make a canopy, and the smaller trees now in where the road was, but the big trees are off to the sides.
So cool.
But this was a typical scenario that the Indians used all the way across the country. You had the militia here, which were untrained, just farmers and merchants and whatever that came to help whenever there was a war going on, any kind of skirmish. But they weren't trained military. They didn't have time to just gather them up. These guys thought, boy, this is going to be fun. We're going to go shoot some Indians. So, yeah, the guys are somewhere over this. The Indians showed themselves about 3 or 4 or 5 of them. And of course, these guys see Indians. Oh, they grabbed their guns and jumped on their horses and started chasing them. And they followed the trail. And where you came off of that Blackhawk, about a quarter of a mile west of there, there's a road cut to the left that goes down into the lower into the ravine. And they chase the Indians down into the ravine, where they find about 500 Indians waiting for them. So they turn around, of course, and run back. And meanwhile, then the commander, Dement, had got the rest of the militia that weren't foolish enough to run off. He got a skirmish line set up here, so that when they come back through, they could stop the Indians from coming in. But this was a way station, and it was supplied. You could keep your horses here. You could get food here, stay overnight. And Blackhawk wanted the supplies that were here because his people were starving, his horses were weak, and he needed everything that they had in here. And that's the reason he wanted to get this place, but it didn't work out for him.
Huh.
But there was part of the guys buried here were on the trail up from Rock Island. They were killed, and they brought them all up here and buried them all.
Is there a grave site?
Right here.
Yeah, right that big monument there.
Memorial.
This is it. It's got all kinds of little...
So anyway.